ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Brought to you by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Local then, local now. Member FDIC.
It is Wednesday, September 23rd. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. You can join the program by calling the Miller Lite phone lines at 877-420-TALK. That is 877-420-8255. Miller Lite, hold true, great taste. Only 96 calories it is, the original light beer. We've got some sad news to start off the program today. Former Chicago Bear star Gale Sayers. I mean, this is one of the all-time greats. Passing away, age of 77. Known as the Kansas Comet, voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1977. He was in the NFL just 7 seasons, all with the Bears. At 34, he was the youngest player ever inducted. So Gale Sayers passing away, age 77. And for a lot of you that are older NFL fans, you know him. And if you grew up in the 70s, maybe even the 80s, you knew him. If you're a Bears fan, of course, and you might know him best from the movie Brian's Song. He was part of that story. So the NFL, of course, a big loss here today. One of the all-time greats in the NFL, passing away at the age of 77. We start with what's happening in Conference USA, and another game canceled or at least postponed. The matchup on the 26th between Houston and North Texas, canceled. That announcement coming out today. This is what at least was said from Houston. We understand this COVID-19 related decision North Texas has made to not play Saturday's game and appreciate the consistent dialogue with our program by UNT. Another one biting the dust. So now I'm looking ahead a little bit here. Will North Texas be able to play the following week? Could you see maybe a substitution? They're scheduled to play Southern Miss, I believe. And could you see a substitution? Could the Herd fall into a Southern Miss game? I'd love to see Southern Miss back on the schedule. The difficulty would be, would that be a home game? Would that be a road game? How would that play out for the Thundering Herd? And so nothing is off the table as we speak. Nothing's off the table. Honestly. You want to try to get as many games as you possibly can in, and the push here is you don't want to go 3 weeks before you play a football game. It's okay to have one off week. So the week of September 26th, this week we're in, you're scheduling it as an off week, and if you can find out here in the next day or two that, okay, you're going to be playing Southern Miss or you're going to be playing someone else, you jump on that. So Herd fans, there might be a replacement game for that October 3rd game that Rice was not able to play. That's a possibility here. I'm just speculating at this point. I don't have any insider info on that. I really, don't have any insight into what's happening over at the Shuey building right now. I'm just speculating that, okay, maybe if North Texas can't play a conference game, you've got 2 open conference games. Marshall's open. You've got another team open. Take advantage of it. Make that schedule work. So that's where we're at right now. Houston's yet to play football. Seriously. They have not had luck yet being able to play football. They're going to really be behind when they finally get on the field to play a real game. Other teams are already going to have several weeks of football, actual game play. I mean, the Thundering Herd, for everything that's gone on, still has 2 games under its belt as a program, looking for that next game so you don't have to go 3 weeks before you play Western Kentucky. Sure, you'd love to have all of that rest and prep time, but at the end of the day, you still need a game. 2 weeks, a little too much. 3 weeks, awful lot between games. So that's where we're at right now with the conference schedule. We've got basketball action coming up tonight. We've got hockey action coming up tonight as well. The NBA playoffs, we have got Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Celtics taking on the Miami Heat. It's going to be on ESPN, 8:30. Miami leading that series 2-1. We're going to have that game for you following the Doc Holliday Show, which will take place tonight. It's a little early than usual tonight. It's usually on a Thursday, but we've got it tonight here on a Wednesday. So the Doc Holliday Show coming up tonight at its normal time, just a day early. We'll have it right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. And then right after that, we'll go into the Celtics Heat broadcast. You won't miss a thing. We won't miss tip. So stick around. You want to catch that tonight. And then for those of you looking for some hockey action, I'm going to be flipping back and forth. Game 3, Tampa evens it up against Dallas. So we've got Game 3 coming up tonight of the Stanley Cup Final. Series is tied 1 game apiece. That's going to be on NBC Sports Network tonight. And I'm kind of curious what the ratings are going to be. Ratings haven't been good as of late. It's not because the product is bad. The problem with the ratings here is there's just so much going on. You've got the NFL to compete with. You've got baseball to compete with. You've got the NHL competing with basketball. You've got so many other sports. I mean, we have it's feast or famine right now. And for some of us, I got too much. I know that's a tough word to say. We got too much sports, but the ratings have been a little tough anyway. But the Stanley Cup playoffs won on NBC Sports Network. The numbers are better when on NBC, obviously, because more people have access to NBC than NBC Sports Network. But really, the fact that Stanley Cup playoffs should have been over by now, and it's really in a great time because you're not in football season. You have an opportunity to really maybe catch some attention. Playoffs heat up. I think being in a bubble has helped the NHL. It's a victory. They've been able to pull this off at the same time. I think some of the atmosphere, the excitement, I don't know. Is it the same for the NBA bubble? The atmosphere, excitement, I mean, it's different. It's the same but different. You've got the intimacy of that setup in the NBA. You've got the digital fans, and that's neat. I like that. I like what WWE's doing as well with what their Thunderdome. What do they call that? I've seen the promos. I'm going to admit to you, I haven't watched Monday Night Raw in a long time, and I know they're doing the digital representation of fans. You walk in and you get all the monitors, which I think, hey, you know what? If you've got it in an enclosed space and you've got the money and you got the production value, it's better than cardboard fans, really. For that setup, it's way better than cardboard fans. And I'd rather have that than the video game fans on Fox. Thankfully, I haven't seen it in the NFL. So are they even doing it for NFL? I didn't watch any Fox games this weekend. I was watching Red Zone Channel. So technically, I was watching Fox games, but I was watching Red Zone Channel. And let me tell you, when you don't have a game, Red Zone Channel, you know this. If you don't, I'm telling you now. Red Zone Channel was my lifeline. I've watched it 2 straight weeks because I watched the Bengals, and then I needed some game. I need a game. So, okay, let's go. Let's go Red Zone. And I got everything I possibly needed because I had Thursday with the Bengals, and so I needed a game. So I watched Red Zone. And with the Bengals playing later on the first Sunday, I watched the early stuff on the Red Zone again. For some reason, DirecTV has gifted me Sunday Ticket. I'm not saying that to rub it in your face. I'm not bragging here. I'm not flexing. I'm just surprised. I think they did that for a lot of people because they knew that TV would be more important because you're not going to see as many fans. In some stadiums, you're not going to see fans at all. So I've taken advantage of it, and I think the NFL so far, it feels like I hate the piped-in music and the piped-in sound. Now, I know you got to have some of that to really mask the fact that it's going to sound empty, and I get that. I completely do. But at the same time, I think they're overdoing it. I really don't need it. Baseball's got a good mix. I don't know what baseball's doing that football can't be doing. Baseball seems to have gotten it right, or at least I haven't noticed, or they're mixing it better when I do listen. And speaking of baseball, we've got the Braves and the Dodgers clinching the divisions. They joined the Athletics, which did it Monday night, as the first team to win the division so far. The Cubs, they are going to be a postseason team. They lose to the Pirates, but yet they are going to be in the postseason. So they punched their ticket to the postseason with the Brewers' win over the Reds and the Phillies' loss in the first game of their doubleheader. The Indians are going. They clinched the postseason berth with their 5-3 win against the White Sox. So we have got, of course, baseball expanded playoffs. I'm still trying to get used to this. It's going to be such a long playoff season. All I know is the Reds are in, the Cubs are in, the Indians are in, or at least the Reds are going to be in. It feels like that. And then, of course, if you were watching NBA last night, the Nuggets avoid the 3-0 deficit. They get off to a really hot start. They hold off the Lakers. The Lakers did push. And the Nuggets avoid going down 3-0, and all of a sudden we might have a series here. And, of course, the Lakers did come back. So if you're a Lakers fan, bad start, maybe, just maybe, it's going to go a few extra rounds. That's not good for LeBron. LeBron's not looking like LeBron of old. LeBron's starting to show his age. Is that fair to say? I mean, just LeBron does not look like he is invincible. I know he's probably better than 90% of everyone on the floor at any given time in the league, 95% maybe. He's in that upper percentile. I mean, he's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time, but still, he's starting to look a little bit like his age out there. But yet the Lakers, they did push. They did push, and they made it a game. Unfortunately for them, Denver makes it a game, makes it a series. When we continue from break, we are going to give you an opportunity to hear our conversation with Alex Mollette. He sat down and spoke to the media this week. Of course, we don't have a game to talk about, so instead, Alex joined us. We'll talk about some various topics with him, so you'll get an opportunity to really hear what those conversations sound like when we come back from break here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We've got another cancellation in Conference USA. We mentioned earlier that the Houston-North Texas game has been canceled. Well, Brett McMurphy tweeting out just a few minutes ago, and it's a smart thing for me to always check Brett McMurphy during every... I should just have Brett McMurphy's Twitter feed up during the show. I'll just scroll it because it updates constantly. Apparently, Saturday's USF at Florida Atlantic game has been postponed because of USF's COVID issues. So, no game there. So, add that on top of the games we've lost, including Houston and North Texas. It's as if COVID-19 is still contagious. And this thing is not going away, and teams are trying their very best. And I would have thought that a team like the protocols should work if everyone's adhering to them. I mean, you're still going to have that risk, and I'm not telling you that outside of being in a bubble, you're not going to get it. I mean, there's going to be that opportunity here, but you're going to have commitment from players. You're going to have commitment from coaches. You're going to have commitment from everyone surrounding these teams, and you would hope that the protocols would work. Why has Marshall been successful so far? Testing for sure, protocols. You don't get near these players, especially on game day. I mean, media, we don't get anywhere near the coaches or players. If you're not in the protocol, you're not going to be in the shoey. You're not going to be anywhere near this. You're going to have to adhere to the mask. You're going to have to do the right things. And if you're on the team, you know that you've got to do the right things when it comes to how you interact outside of being in the football complex. And the other team is still a wild card because you're hoping I mean, you were hoping that Appalachian State would not be able, would be able to come in. You were hoping they wouldn't contract COVID-19. You were hoping that EKU, everybody's got to go through the same testing protocols. And, of course, with Marshall and the Conference USA standard, basically, once you get in Conference USA, you know that everyone has agreed institutionally to the same standard. And, of course, Appalachian State agreeing to the standard in which Marshall has committed to. And if you are South Florida, what's the deal here? Notre Dame, you're playing Notre Dame. You would hope that Notre Dame would have it right. So now you don't have a game. So second conference game canceled this week. So we don't have a game with North Texas taking on Houston. Of course, again, out of conference, you got issues. And then you can't control really FAU and South Florida. It's a conference member out of a game because COVID-19 issues. There are some games going to be played in Conference USA. I've just got to edit my notes a little bit because I've got some things on each game. We'll talk about it a little bit later on, but something I did want to do here on this Wednesday. Since, again, we've got 3 weeks to do this show and not really have an opponent to prepare for and to tell you about. So at this point, every day we're talking about getting ready for a game in 3 weeks. Not the most fun. Not the most fun daily show to do. Just waiting to talk about a game in 3 weeks. But the opportunity to talk to some of these kids at Marshall, that's one of the pluses here. And one guy that we had a chance to catch up as a group of the media, Alex Mollette, and he's always good to talk about. And he, in this first statement, Chuck Landon asked this question just about the fact that you've never been in a season like this where it's crazy. It changes every week, and you just got to wait. I mean, you got to wait. It changes. You could be playing in a team 1 week and not then you might have a different opponent. It's so crazy right now, and Alex handling it pretty well. And here's our conversation with Alex Mollette from earlier this week.
I think the only way is really our coaches just do a great job of knowing when to give us off time and when to, make us practice because, right now we're in the position where we might not play till October 10th and we don't know what's going on or anything. So I think Doc and, for our side of the ball, Cramsey and Greg for me, or Coach Atkins, do a really good job of keeping us locked in. Studying film, even if we have to go to last year's film to study something or camp practices, just evolving as a player, evolving us as a unit, just trying to make us better and not just letting this time go to waste.
It's everything has been so strange this whole season, every bit of it, with all the protocols and all the testing you have. Now you throw this into it where you don't even know exactly when the next game will be. You got Western Kentucky, but you don't know what the next 2 weeks may hold. It's just like unbelievable. Every time you think it can't get a little stranger and odder, it gets stranger and odder.
Yeah, honestly, it's almost normal at this point. Something getting thrown at us again. I don't think any of us have flinched, and I honestly think it's made us a more locked in, closer team. Everything we've gone through since March, whether we're not knowing if we're going to play or, people testing positive, not being able to practice a day because something's happening, it's just every single day it was something new from March until now. And I think the position that we're in now, it's just normal. It feels normal that we're just, something's going to change every single day, and we just have to get used to it, I guess.
Thanks, Alex.
You look at this win on Saturday, and you went up against an Appalachian State team that all the talk was surrounding their offensive line and what they had done against Charlotte. Did you all sort of take that on the chin and say, hey, we're going to show that we're the best offensive line in this game?
That was mentioned to us, and I knew, and I've heard about those guys, and they're good. They're a good offensive line, but I think the dynamic of our offensive line, with the coaches that we've had, And they've always taught us, Mirabal and Coach Atkins have always taught us, to play with a chip on your shoulder and, and no matter who you're up against. And like, we weren't just trying to prove to them, we're trying to prove to the whole country that, we're one of the great offensive lines. And that not just us though. I mean, we got a freshman back there spinning it. We got freshmen and sophomores outside, and we got senior tight ends and stuff. We just, as an offense, we want to show to even past Marshall teams that this is just a really good offense, and we're really close, and we're just a close knit group, and that we're here to stay, honestly.
Alex, you said at the beginning of this call that this was the most exciting moment, finding out your top 25 team. Where does this stack up for you in terms of that news and winning a bowl game?
Obviously this is the beginning of a season. We've only played 2 games, so it's I can't really get my hopes up too much, but this is something that hasn't happened since I've been here. Last time we were ranked was 2014. And, if you look back then, that was an amazing team. And we always talk about it, and it was kind of that was the standard that was always set for us. And I think coming into the season, a lot of the seniors have been because we got here in 2016, and a lot of seniors were look, let's make a new standard. And being able to be ranked, I think it was more exciting than bowl games, just because something that hasn't happened in my career yet. I think bowl games are always the most fun of the most fun time of the year. But as far as accomplishments throughout my career as a team, I think this is probably the most exciting.
Alex, you look at the dynamic here and what's going on with this season too. You mentioned the senior-laden offensive line that's leading this thing. Is it almost scary that you all can sit here and say, hey, we can come back next year once this is said and done in 2020 and do this all again too?
All the seniors right now are talking about it and just kind of figuring out what we're going to do. Yeah, we're kind of this thing would be awesome, but we all got to talk after the season and see what's best for our careers. Honestly, we don't know. We all kind of told each other and told our coaches that, that's a decision that we're going to make after the season. We don't want it to affect this season, and we want to just go out and make the most of a coronavirus season.
Hey, Alex. How much do you think that the juice from a win as significant as the one you had Saturday will be able to carry you over, especially if you're going to have a 3-week hiatus and not be able to play till October 10th? How much do you think winning a game like that is going to kind of keep your guys' energy up for a extended period of time?
I think that does. I think a game like that will always keep your morale high, but I don't think that we can ride that high for too long, because I think that if we keep on focusing on how we beat Appalachian State, there's some good Conference USA teams that'll come up and sneak up on us. So we have to kind of look forward to next week, and we have a lot of guys on our team that are definite characters and can bring a lot of juice to games, no matter when the situation. It could be a random Monday night practice or a random workout, and we'll be jumping around and dancing to songs, and it'll just be random.
Alex, I don't mean this as a slight to any other CUSA program, but you mentioned that juice and bringing your own juice to the field. Do you feel like going to some of these other CUSA stadiums that, in the past haven't had crowds and you all have had to bring your own juice? Do you think that helps you in a season like this where, crowds are limited and the energy isn't what it once was?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard because, 1 week you could be playing at somewhere like we had last week, which was, we had 12,500 people. and that place sounded like it was full. Like that was an amazing crowd. They stayed the whole game. It was awesome. And we go from that atmosphere one week to a stadium that's not allowing people at their stadium at all. So, I mean, I think we just got to, like we have in the past, just have to do a good job kind of bringing our own juice. And whether it's in front of 0 fans or 12,000 or a full stadium, we just have to, play with the juice that we bring, not relying on the fans that are there.
Have you noticed that maybe there are some guys bringing some juice that previously maybe didn't show it on the field? Brendan Knox gets that first down on the first drive. He's all fired up. Grant scores on the keeper. He's jumping up and down. Are there some guys bringing some juice that maybe you hadn't seen previously?
We got a lot of guys that are getting more comfortable. I do see it a lot, and it really excites me, honestly. It's really cool to see, Grant Wells is one of my good friends. He's a good kid, and to see him being a little goofball on the field is awesome. And, as Jason said, I heard when I walked in here, Sheldon's a 2-time captain. No one has earned it on this team more than him. He stepped up in a role that our team needed, and he's really, really taken over he's our voice right now of the team. He gets up in front of us every single day and tells us what we need to hear, not what we want to hear. And he's a guy that I have seen, because he came in one class after me. I've seen him transform into a leader, and he's the one that excites me the most, because he's getting more comfortable and he's playing with a passion that I haven't seen before. And I think that a lot of people talking about our offense are following suit. That's why you see, Knox is getting all pumped up. You see Grant getting all pumped up. You see our receivers, you'll get a first down and our freaking offensive line, like all 5 of us will just be jumping up and down, just so pumped, because we knew we earned every single yard of it. It's just like we're playing with a swagger, I guess, because we love every single person that we're playing with. Like I can say this for the first time since I've been here, that we're all close-knit brothers.
Sounds like it's kind of one of those things. Some of these guys are coming out of their shells. You guys have, on that line, seen it all, done it all. You've been here for a while. You're starting to see the younger guys finally get comfortable, like you said, come out of their shells.
Yep, definitely one of those things. And it's really cool to see. Like, I've always been the one doing the coming out. Like, I've always been the one coming out of my shell, because I've been playing since a freshman, and it's just been older guys leading us. And to be at the top of it, looking down and seeing all these guys coming up, it's really, really cool to see, honestly.
You've been in that locker room after some big wins. What was that atmosphere like this past Saturday?
Yeah, Rev was all pumped up, and every time Rev's pumped up, we all follow suit. And shortly after that, we were playing music, and every single person on our team was jumping up and down. Water and stuff was being thrown everywhere, and everyone was just enjoying each other, and it was a really, really cool atmosphere. It was really fun.
Did Doc break out the dance moves in the locker room?
I don't think he broke out a dance move, but he was screaming and yelling. He was smiling ear to ear for a long time. And you definitely got to earn that one from Doc.
Doc Holliday, dance moves. I'm still waiting for that TikTok account to be a part of the Marshall social media plan. Doc Holliday on TikTok. Come on, make that happen. If Doc Holliday gets on TikTok, I'm downloading the app and I'm getting on TikTok. Until then, I'm not doing it. When we continue, we'll get your phone calls in 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. We have got more coming up. It's The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Now, back to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Welcome back to today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, coming up tonight, we get the Doc Holliday Show. It's set for its normal time on a different night. Usually you got that on Thursday. You got it tonight. You got it a little early, so there you go. You got a little midweek Doc Holliday. That's not too bad for you Thundering Herd fans who can't get enough of Doc Holliday. You got some more coming up tonight right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So some tough news coming out of Ohio State's athletic department. The department is going to implement layoffs, furloughs, and other cost-saving measures. They're trying to offset what they have projected to be a $107 million deficit due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So that announcement comes out this morning. However, Ohio State said it will not cut any of its sports programs, maintaining its status as the largest athletic department in the nation. So on the one hand, people are losing jobs. On the other hand, they're not going to cut sports, and they want to maintain their status. Also, they're going to keep intact as they announce all scholarship funding and other support services and resources in what they are estimating to be a $180 million budget. They also believe that permanent job cuts will eliminate 25 full-time athletic positions. They're not specifying what those positions are going to be. They have a conservative estimate of $73 million in revenue for the current fiscal year. So here's the problem. You don't want to see anyone lose their job. That goes without saying, but we say it anyway. We need to. You don't want to see anyone lose their job. If athletic departments weren't in such a race with each other, for one, you bring money in, you spend it. There's not a war chest. There's not savings here. Athletic departments are not saving money. Some athletic departments can't save money. Others can, you would think, but you're always churning that money over. You got to have the biggest locker rooms. You got to have the biggest, best, brightest facilities. And I get that. You want to have as good as facilities as you possibly can, but it seems like it's ongoing. It's constant. And this might be just another sign that college athletics might need to do a course correction as far as making this a sustainable process. I mean, you want to be able to sustain. You want to be able to sustain. That's it. You want to sustain what you've got. At the same time, you've got to take a serious look at what do you do, what do you offer, what can you cut, what can you streamline, what can you think about? How do you handle your budget? What do you put your budget towards? What are you spending? Do you need a sauna in the locker room? Do you need a whirlpool in the sauna? Do you need that? Do you need every chair to be like a massage chair? Do you need that? Do you need a recliner vibrator chair in your locker room? Do you need that? Instead of those 25 OLED screens, and can you get away with 20 maybe in your locker room? Think about it. Some of the things and of course you want the kids, you want to spend on the kids, and I get that, but boy, the football locker room in Alabama is probably nicer than the locker room for some of the other programs. I would say, without seeing it, I'm sure those are nice too, but the football locker room is probably much nicer. And of course, you want to make sure all your student athletes are taken care of, and I get that and completely. And you want to have the best facilities you possibly can get. And again, I completely get that. But there's no war chest here. There's no savings. There's spending. You mean to tell me with all the money Ohio State has made over the years, they couldn't squirrel some of that back? Just for a rainy day? You mean to tell me that they couldn't have budgeted a little bit better? And you know what? No, we don't need all this extravagant spending here. We don't need it. We can do without. You know what? instead of real leather, maybe we can get away with maybe fake leather. And I know I'm exaggerating, but still, without going line by line, looking at all the budgets here. And I can't make that decision. I can't make that judgment. I don't have the budget here. And, I can't tell Ohio State or any other university, hey, here's what you shouldn't be spending your money on. But we're in a situation where we're seeing what some of the problems are here and the way athletic departments are spending. And I'm not saying this is something that needs to be uniform across college football because, well, that's never going to happen. But if you're going to have to cut back, maybe at the same time you look at what you've been spending your money on and what you maybe can live without or what is sort of excessive. I mean, seriously, what is excessive? What is not excessive? I mean, where do you put the resources? You put the resources in facilities? Yeah, okay, facilities are important. Do you put the resources in scholarships? Those are important too. Where else do you put the resources? I mean, you're spending a lot of money. I mean, coaches, the highest state employee is probably the coach. Name your state, the highest state employee is probably the coach. And it's probably, unless it's a basketball crazy town, the highest state employee is probably the football coach. And it's gotten crazy because you've had to spend more money. And if you spend all this money and you don't get results within a couple of years, then you get rid of that person and you bring in another one. It's more vicious than it is in the NBA, by the way. Billy Donovan going to be the head coach of the Chicago Bulls while I'm thinking about it. How about that? That's something right there. Billy Donovan, that guy, has been a winner wherever he's went, and now he's going to go to the Bulls. I hope that continues for him. But it's interesting to see where the money goes. And it would be really nice to see a breakdown of where these expenditures are, what some universities are spending on, because there are other universities, and again, it's not like the NFL where we got revenue sharing. That doesn't exist in college football. It's completely different here. It's completely different in the NFL, except if you're Jerry Jones. You live in your own world. But other than that, you got this revenue sharing going on here in the NFL, and of course they're making money hand over fist there. They're loving it. But in college athletics, you have your haves and your have-nots, and of course if you've got 100,000 fans showing up on game day and you can sell out like that, yes, reap the rewards, my friend. Reap the rewards. At the same time, it feels like this is going to be a good opportunity to course correct when it comes to budgets. You don't want anyone to lose their job. You don't. But unfortunately, it's happening, and athletic departments are going to have to realize, what do you need to prioritize, or what do you need to spend your money on? Can you save? And right now you're trying to save as much as you can and not spend as much as you usually do. You're trying to put yourself in that shell. You're on battery saver mode as an athletic department. $107 million. And think of it. If you save just a little bit of that, or you budgeted better and you went, okay, we've got to have something back just in case. We got to be able to have something that's going to be there just in case we hit a bump in the road. Because for a lot of these schools, they're not used to this. It just printed money. It just made money. And, of course, Ohio State, they employ, as an institution, they employ a lot of people. I mean, athletic department, permanent jobs, 25 full-time jobs, layoffs, furloughs. I'd like to see a breakdown of where those layoffs and furloughs are coming. Is it going to be football? Is it going to be basketball? Is it going to be the other sports? I'd love to see where the furloughs are actually coming. We wrap it up when we continue with today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Buckle up. Paul Swann has the wheel on The Drive, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We're wrapping up today's edition of The Drive, presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We're back on a regular schedule this week with the Cincinnati Bengals facing off against the Eagles. Week 3. Winless teams. Somebody's got to win this one, unless it ends in a tie. Of course, you have got Carson Wentz posting a 28.1 total QBR this season, second worst in the NFL. I feel good. I feel good about this. The Bengals are going to win this one. This will be Joe Burrow's first win against a team in the NFL, and it'll come against the Eagles. I'm looking forward to it, and it's coming up this Sunday. We'll have it for you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Coming up later tonight, we've got the Doc Holliday call-in show. Let me rephrase that. It's not the call-in show anymore. Old habits die hard. I understand. But you can get your questions in. Steve Cotton gives you an opportunity to do that every week. And, of course, follow him on Twitter, Herd Cotton. That's the best way to follow along with the voice of the herd, Steve Cotton. And, of course, keep up with everything that's happening. So we've got the call-in show no more. Again, old habits die hard. Doc Holliday show coming up tonight. We'll have it for you. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Hey, at least I didn't call the Washington Football Club by their former name. At least I didn't do that. That happened. Yeah, that happened over the weekend. I didn't really touch on it because I just kind of felt, I just felt bad. Like, really? I mean, you bring out one of the, one of the greats. You bring out one of the greats in football. Seriously. You bring out, for your game, Dick Stockton. And he's 77. And he comes out and he does the game. And, of course, like we all do here in broadcasting, we make mistakes. And he was calling Washington football team by their former name. And he got dinged on it for a lot on Twitter. You know what? The guy's 77. Come on. Cut him some slack. Thanks for listening. I do appreciate it. We'll be back better than ever, hopefully tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Don't forget, coming up later tonight, the Doc Holliday Show, a Wednesday edition right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.